Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we have some sad news today about the passing of a cruise director. We also have a warning being sent out by Norwegian Cruise Line to their passengers. And we also have a conflict that's been happening now with the port of Canaveral in Orlando that literally could affect every cruise ship arriving and leaving that port. So, unless you live in the area, you might be like me and think Port Canaveral and the space launch and everything are kind of two separate things, but they're not. One of the things that happens is when a rocket or a satellite is being launched into space, there is a no-sail zone where cruise ships are banned from a certain area, as well as flights are banned from a certain area to obviously, you don't want the plane going into contact with a rocket. You do not want something going wrong with the rocket and landing in debris over where a cruise ship would be sailing and all the passengers up on board the ship. So you would think, well, this only could really affect like once or twice a year, right? Well, believe it or not, this year alone, they are planning on launching over 100 launches from Port Canaveral this year, with hopes of doubling and tripling that over the next 5 years. Basically one a day almost is where they're trying to get to, which is incredibly busy. I did not know the space industry was that going strong, shall we say. But this gives some conflict to the cruise ships arriving and departing and the airlines. When this is going on, flights can change for the rocket at any given moment depending on wind direction and the weather and things like that. So that area where you're not allowed to sail or fly can change at any, during this whole process of being launched. And if this happens and a rocket is, say, delayed 35, 40 minutes of taking off, that can affect the cruise lines' embarkation and disembarkation if they can't get in and out of the cruise port to get passengers off the ship and get people off. Then, if the cruise ship is late arriving and getting passengers off, well, what does that affect? That affects the passengers getting to the airport and arriving to get to the airlines and getting on time for their flights, which has that triple effect not only at the airport in Orlando, but airports right across the country for connecting flights, etc. It's not a major problem at the moment, but they are warning that as the industry is growing and growing for the space launches, this could become a major conflict in the future, and it's a problem that really needs to be addressed now before issues arrive in the future. So yeah, I had no idea that the space industry was that going strong, shall we say, at a Port Canaveral. Good for them. I'm glad to hear that business is going booming, and maybe that's all due to us getting, I don't know, maybe our good satellite internet system on our cruise ships. Well, we also have a warning being sent out to cruise passengers on the NCL Prima. These passengers sailed back, I believe it was early November, but they came down with Legionnaires disease. Now, Legionnaires disease is often spread through filtration systems and compression, so like hot tubs and humidifiers and air conditionings, things like that. And they are now completely inspecting and cleaning out all the different like hot tubs and places like that on the NCL Prima, but they warn people who have been sailing. They've sent out letters now to anybody who's been on board, warning to keep an eye out for these symptoms as well. And some of the symptoms are very common for Legionnaire's disease. It's cough, headaches, sore muscles. It's basically flu season. You could think that you just have a cold or pneumonia, but if it persists in any way or gets worse and worse, you see a doctor and mention if you've been on the Prima since then. because you want to get this treated as soon as possible. You don't want this going on and on forever. It can lead to huge complications down the road if not treated. So yeah, a warning that's not COVID. It turns out to be Legionnaires disease, something you definitely don't want. But there was 2 passengers that sailed on the Prima, and they're not sure where they contracted it, how they contracted it, but they're warning their own passengers, which is good. Good on Norwegian for letting people know and not sitting on their hands. That's the right thing to do. Send out that warning, so if people are suffering like from any long-term effects that they thought was just a cold or perhaps a small pneumonia, maybe they can mention this to the doctor and find out for sure what it is, because even on chest x-rays it can show up looking like a pneumonia, like a cold, like a regular thing. So yeah, good on Norwegian for letting passengers know. And then, well, before I get to my next story, it is a little bit more adult in nature, shall we say, but I'll give you that warning, and then I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with all things cruising, from what could affect your getting off the ship in Orlando, a rocket, to, yeah, somebody sailed on a cruise ship months ago and it could have affected you on your cruise, and just the ins and outs of the cruise industry, some tips and tricks and things that just might save you some money and make your cruise just a little bit better. I hope you'll join us here on the channel. It doesn't cost anything, and when you hit the subscribe, it really does help the channel out, and I really do appreciate it. Okay, on with the next story. This is a very sad news. I've met this person myself in person. Very fun guy, very nice guy. He works with MSC Cruise Lines. His name was Jean Moy Moy Young. He was the cruise director, and he's been on a few of the MSC cruise ships from the Meraviglia. I believe it was either the Seaside or the Seashore he was on as well. Longtime entertainment director, very outspoken, very funny guy, very jovial a lot of the times. Well, unfortunately, it seems like he had just gone on vacation and he unfortunately passed away. Most likely self-inflicted is what the some stories are saying right now, which is very, very sad. Obviously, condolences go out to friends, family, co-workers on board. When you're, for instance, on the entertainment team, your cruise director is kind of like not only your boss, but they can also be like your best friend, like your father figure almost on board these cruise ships, or your mother figure, where they seem to be like the person who looks after you and makes sure everything's going. And a cruise director always has that persona, that smile, that I'm a good, happy person all the time, right? So if you're a crew member and you're looking at this and you're saying, I should have seen something, I should have known, I should have, please don't beat yourself up, because it's not something that people who are suffering from huge depression in their lives are often very good at hiding it from other people. I've lived through it personally. I've had a very, very close friend of mine. I still have their picture in my house to this day. It's been many years that went through this, and at the time I had no idea. And I immediately thought back to what I could possibly have done. Should I have seen this? Should I have seen this? I didn't notice it. Her very best friends didn't notice it. Her family didn't notice it. It's not always easy. People don't show a lot of times. They put on a very brave face. So, but if you do think somebody is suffering, please reach out to them. Ask them to reach out to somebody. If you're going through something, reach out to a hotline. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family how you're feeling. Just talking about it can often relieve those problems and make you feel like you're not alone. But I just wanted to put that out to the crew members, friends, and family. Don't take it on yourself that it has anything to do with you, that it was your fault. Because like I said, people are often so good at hiding their true feelings. So Jean Moi Moi Young, very sad news with the MSC family and the family cruising community as a whole. He used to work for Stiletto Entertainment. He's worked with Holland America Line in the past. So his life has touched many, many people throughout the years. And I hope if you've met him, you realize how nice a gentleman he was, and you'll remember him very, very fondly, and always, hopefully, in the best light. Well, I hope you appreciate this video today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Please just hit the subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.